Hey, hey, hey. Good morning and afternoon and evening to all of you all out there. I am so privileged to be with you on another Friday evening episode of Ask the Doctors. I want you to come on in the room. Let me know that you're here. I'm glad to be with you. This is your host, Dr. Jonathan Shepard, Chief Medical Director of Hope Health Systems, which is the sponsor of this broadcast. I am privileged to come again to bring to you information that you will find that is inspiring, insightful, and informative. I am privileged also to work at a facility, at a mental health organization that is invested in our community, in our world, truthfully, and making sure that we get information out there accurately. Hope Health Systems is a large mental health organization that is headquartered in Baltimore, Maryland, and we're proud to be able to service so many people throughout the state of Maryland. And you can find us, you can go to our website at hopehealthsystems.com and we'll do you some good. As I say, you can find the website there. It's scrolling across your screen right there. When you come on, you'll also be able to refer yourself or your children or someone in your family. You can fill all that information out online, and we'll definitely have somebody there to service your needs. All right, come on in the room. Let me know that you're here watching this evening here. I know it's afternoon, and even for those who will go back and watch, maybe morning time. So that's why I give that type of greeting. And I thank all the people who do watch us in our replays. We have so many people who literally go back and watch. Some people actually go back when we're not on and watch because of the information that is being shared. Have such a pertinent topic today. Man, uh, I don't even know how to even really encapsulate it as I prepare to bring on our expert guests. But vaccine mandates, we're going to talk about it today. COVID-19 vaccine. Last week, we were fortunate to have two physicians on, Dr. Jessica Queen and Dr. Nicole Sims, and they provided such information, such wonderful information, I should say, that we were able to, again, understand the purpose of the vaccines and understand the different types of vaccines. And since the last time we were on, the CDC and the person's FDA has approved the use of the COVID-19 vaccine in children, ages 5 through 11, and so that's a pretty significant move. And so now, with all that said, the vaccine is available. There are mandates out there, so let's talk about them. There's been so much discussion, and let me just kind of set the premise for this before I bring on our guests. We all have various or varying opinions, but all of our opinions we will respect. All right. Please make sure that even as you comment, that you're being respectful in your comments. We want to make sure that questions are answered. And we want to help some people. There's some people on the fence as to how to be able to move forward. And we want to help some people who may find themselves there. So let's go ahead and get our panel up and going. I am privileged to present all the people here have been on this broadcast before, so they're not a stranger. I'm going to start first with Amanda Perkins, who is an attorney located in Chicago. And greetings, Amanda. How you doing, Attorney Perkins?
Hello. Hi. It's good to be back here again. I appreciate the invitation every single time. But exactly, I'm an attorney. I'm a business attorney. My background is in corporate law. I'm also a business consultant. So I help my clients. I help my clients get organized, and I also help them make sure that they negotiate well their deals and any of their business needs, pretty much. So corporate counsel. Mhm.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tell the people you also now have your own law firm since the last time you've
Yes.
been on here. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So after working in big law for several years, I took a hiatus to just focus on my business consulting, and then I took the plunge maybe 2 months ago to launch my own firm because I realized that it was a need, and it's also it's what I love. I'm a negotiator, love it. So that's pretty much where I need to be. That's my lane. So here I am. I've launched my firm, and it's Stoutegy Law. That's STOUTEGY Law. And you can find me online.
Wonderful. Oh man,
Mhm.
so happy. I mean, this is awesome that we have such quality people who are part of our broadcast. And thank you. You just make our show better, and we're so proud for what you have done. And we wish you all the success.
Thank
Next
you.
person up, who is a go-getter himself, that is Mr. Cody Kelly, and he has his own podcast. It is what it is, and I've been featured on there a couple times. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Oh man, yes, absolutely. And so I know he's going to keep us laughing. He's going to keep us informed too. So come on, let the people know what you do, and we'll move forward.
So, director of sales for the tech company, dealing with intelligent automation. So that keeps me happy and that keeps me going. But in my nightlife, when I'm fighting crime, I host a podcast called "It Is What It Is" podcast, where it's very interesting. We try to be as thorough and intelligent and very careful over the selection of the words we choose to describe the current events. That's how I like to frame it. In other words, I like to talk smack. It's a pleasure to be on here with the amazing doctor, the good doctor, Dr. Shepard, and the amazing attorney Perkins, childhood friend of mine who is no longer a true Chicagoan. She lives in Illinois. I just want to correct that. She is an amazing, though, business attorney. Please get her. But she's not a Chicagoan. I just want to make that a fact. But I love being here. I'm super excited about getting into it. I got some amazing things coming in 2022, man. You gotta stay watching because my G's rolling silent like lasagna. So that's me.
Exactly. Make moves in silence. I'm coming for you though, Cody, about the whole Chicagoan comment.
Oh my God. Oh my God. As you see, we're going to have a wonderful time here. And then last but not least, my own brother, he is here with me today. That is Jason Shepard. And I'm so glad that he's with me today. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is toward the end of the show. But I'm privileged to have a brother who I can work with and who I am proud of. And he's coming from the city of Los Angeles. They know perpetrating there. He lives in the heart of Los Angeles. Come on,
Yep.
Jason, say hello, introduce the people.
What's up, everybody? Jason Shepard here, also known as Jay Shep, also known as Pastor J, coming to you from Inglewood, California, uh, right by SoFi Stadium, right next to the Intuit Dome, which is soon to be built, home of the Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles Chargers. Glad to be a part of this show with my brother and these uh, two amazing guests here that I'm just meeting. So excited to get into this conversation today. Hopefully, I can
What
add some value.
That's how I
wonderful.
feel too.
Yeah.
Well, I know you all will, and I'm just hoping that I can continue to maintain as the moderator because I know once we get going, it's just just a free for all. Honestly, because this topic is such a hot topic, it's a provocative topic, and I just want to reset the room and thank you for joining us, Rhonda Alicia Hayes. She must either she's watching us at work or taking a break. She is a consistent watcher, and I'm looking for some more comments. Come on, let me know that you're in the room, and let me know that you're watching. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So, anti-vaxxers. Yeah, we have some notable anti-vaxxers. We've been talking about the professional basketball player, Kyrie Irving. Guess who's been in the news this week? Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron.
Yeah. So, um, football, football players, NFL, school districts, police officers, all these people have been in the news. Let's just start out. What impact? Describe the impact that these notable anti-vaxxers have on an overall society, and then let's speak specifically to the minority community who I know watches this particular broadcast. So again, I'm just going to begin with ladies first, but once Amanda begins, then it's a free for all. So gentlemen, just go ahead and jump right on in. We'll start with you, Amanda.
You know what? I still need to sit with this question. I've been kind of sitting with it for a while. And I'm going to punt this one on over to Cody. So I'm going to popcorn this one over to you, Cody, and then I'll just jump back into this because I think I may need to be a little bit more diplomatic about my response.
Okay. All right. Now that's a first, y'all.
That is a first. It is a first.
We've had a first or Ask the Doctor because Amanda does not punt. So that's I'm looking to hear.
She putting on first down.
Right.
This is right. This is right.
Come on, Cody.
Well, let me put on my President Obama mode. I think that well, first of all, I respect their decision. No, the reality is I respect anybody's decision to make a choice. With that being said, if your choices have a negative consequences on others, I think we have to look at that holistically. So what does this affect on society? It's hard. So like a public figure like Aaron Rodgers, who plays with teammates, whose teammates might have compromised immune systems or might be partnered with somebody that has a compromised immune system, or might have children or close relatives and loved ones that might have a compromised immune system. He has now placed that individual in danger simply because he did not get vaccinated, even though he has the legal right and the constitutional right not to get vaccinated because of his own actions or inactions, and now jeopardizes somebody else's life. It's like wearing a seatbelt. Right. And it's like it just saves your lives and overall the safety of the trip. I think for me, I'm torn on this because you can't mandate something. And I think that's where it gets hairy, right? Like to force this, even though this is a global issue, it affects every single person, every single demographic, every single entity. Mm-hmm. So it would have power to suggest so, but because there's really nothing in the, and I'm not a lawyer, so this is more of a Amanda question, but to my knowledge, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can create a law if it's for the good of the whole versus over, like I just think that gets a little hairy in that discussion. So I would say that what it tells people is that if you decide not to, there's no repercussion. And maybe there shouldn't be a repercussion. But I also think that if you're going to engage with the public and you put me at risk because of your inaction, that's irresponsibility. And to me, that's on the same level as being inebriated and driving a car, right? You're putting the society at risk because of your inaction or action. And that's when it becomes my issue. And then when it becomes my issue, I would say, stay home, right? So if you're not going to do it, stay home.
All right, so let me jump in here. So a couple of things. The first thing I want to say is that we've created a name for people who didn't get a vaccine. That's the first problem that I have. You gave them a name. You call them an anti-vaxxer. First, so the first thing is that you are creating a line of a division in the sand or something that you don't actually truly know if someone did or didn't do. Whether it's only if they told you they did it or not, right? So you gave them a name. So it's not like, hey, you're black. We see you're black. You only know someone is quote unquote anti-vaxxer because they either A, didn't tell you, they told you they didn't take it, or B, they said, I'm against the vaccine. So you can only truly say someone is anti-vaccine if they say they're against vaccines. That's the first thing that to clarify. Number two, I think we have to also put into the realm of actually what the vaccine actually does. For the doctor, yes or no question. Does the vaccine protect the taker of the vaccine first?
Does
the vaccine, does it protect you, the individual, first? That's a yes or no question. Does it protect you first?
I'm not sure about the first, but yes.
So that answer is yes. It's a rhetorical question. If I take the vaccine, I'm taking it to protect myself first, right? It doesn't matter if Cody has taken the vaccine or not, if I take it. The fact is that the COVID-19 vaccine, none of them actually make you at a greater risk of passing COVID or catching COVID. That is a proven fact. What it does do, it gives your body a response to your immune system. So if you're taking the vaccine, you're about self-preservation. So the idea that someone is doing something, putting someone else in harm's way, to me, that doesn't make sense, because if this person with a compromised immune system has taken the COVID-19 vaccine, how can someone who didn't take it put them more at risk? In actuality, the person who didn't take the vaccine is at more risk because they're more compromised.
Yeah.
So I think
let me
so. Hold
clarify.
on. The narrative though. So to me, I know you all look at me like, what? It's narrative. The narrative is that and for the record, I'm vaccinated. The narrative is that if someone comes around me who is unvaccinated, they put me at risk. No, the person who is unvaccinated is at risk of me giving them COVID. That is actually the true issue.
But isn't it
let me just clarify something so that Jason said, because actually the evidence has not proven that, and they're continuing to look at that. And that is in regards to, once you get vaccinated, how much of the virus you can carry once you're infected. That has not been proven yet. So there has been some studies that show that it may be the same, and there has been some that is not the same. And the thing that really is confusing about it, because we don't know how much of the concentration of the virus it takes for a person to become infected. So really, it has not been proven as a fact. So we're still looking to see whether or not the vaccine decreases the amount of virus that a person can spread on to another person. That's going to take a little bit more time for us to know. So I just want to be clear about that. All right.
Right.
Go ahead, Cody.
I guess my hesitancy is it really an issue of branding? If the whole hangup is that they label you something because of your action or inaction, right? So it's not really a science-based discussion anymore. It's a branding-based discussion. And I agree with you. It is misappropriated. It's mislabeled.
Exactly.
Because the reality...
So calling someone something that is not their name is inappropriate. That's inappropriate behavior, is what I'm saying.
But I think...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think you got to also kind of put it in context, because, and I agree with you, they're not anti-vaxxers, because the reality is, if you're born after 1945, you've been already vaccinated for diphtheria, you've been vaccinated for meningitis. You can't even go to college and live on campus without vaccines. So 99% of Americans that are born after World War II have already been vaccinated. This is more of a discussion around COVID-19 vaccine. So we're talking about that. My question is, what's the holdup? I agree. You shouldn't. I don't like putting anybody in a box, but let's be honest with you. Boxes is what we buy. There's a Nike box, there's an Adidas box, there's a Tiffany's box. All these boxes have things in them we like, and that's how we interpret the world. My question to the anti-vaxxer, if that's what we're going to call them, is why not?
Amanda?
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of want to go back to your original question, which is what effect does it have when people, like public figures, take a stance that's relatively controversial? The matter at hand is that it influences people's opinion, because they're all influencers in a way. And so that answers that first question. So if Aaron Rodgers says that he's not going to get vaccinated, that's going to, influence a whole subset of people that hold on to what Aaron Rodgers does. So I think I don't think that we should censor what public figures say about their stances. I think they should be free to talk about how they feel, just as we should too. But what I would encourage and what I would like to see more of is critical thinking about the information that we're receiving. So I would like for people to do diligence about the information they're getting. What are the sources that they're reading? And I was listening to a researcher talk about evidentiary support and how in today's society, it's so much easier to find anything that you think substantiates your point of view. And there's a whole, quagmire of garbage on the internet that can look official, but I think we've kind of created this murky line between what's official and what's not. Whereas before, you would literally have to go to a library and pull out a book. Now you can go into the dark corner of an internet and pull out some kind of, false article to kind of, substantiate your claim. And it hasn't been researched, hasn't been vetted, hasn't been through any kind of, formal process. So forgive me, but damn what Aaron Rodgers does. I want us to think critically about what information we're receiving. Okay. So that's one. Aaron Rodgers is not a doctor. He's not a researcher. He is also not a lawmaker. He is a football player. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't listen to my doctor tell me how to make a touchdown. I would listen to Aaron Rodgers in that, because he's an expert there. And I'm not going to listen to Aaron Rodgers tell me what I should and should not do with respect to my health. I'm going to listen to my doctor, because my doctor has been vetted and has studied this area of expertise. I would hope that people that are listening and watching would not go to, a street corner, lawyer, somebody that doesn't have a law degree, to tell them about how to negotiate their deal. I hope they would come to someone that has done this for a living and has gotten the degree and the credentials, such as myself. You know what I mean? So I think we need to think critically. Americans need to think more critically about how we're consuming our information. So that's one thing. So I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers saying he doesn't believe in vaccinations. I don't care, So that's one. And then the thought about mandating things. Yes, you can mandate. You absolutely can mandate. It's how do you do it, right? And so Cody brings up the Constitution and our preamble. We can actually act in the general public defense and the common welfare. That's the purpose of the Constitution. And that's what we do when we create laws in the first place at the national, the federal, the local, the city level, right? That's what we do constantly. How you mandate. So you can't require certain things, but you can of others. So for example, requiring students to get vaccinated in order to attend school, that's a mandate, right? You have to do that if you want to attend a public school. And so I just want us to be clear about what's allowed and what's not allowed when it comes to the government. That's important to understand too.
Okay.
We have corporate or private businesses that are also mandating that their employees get vaccinated, right? And so I just want that to be, they have the right, the legal right to do that as well. And the thought about, who gets vaccinated, who, if it protects someone versus the other one, I think when we talk about mankind, I think to an extent, like, let's just talk about what's moral. I think what's the kind thing to do. Whether I get vaccinated, when we first started wearing masks, by the way, I was wearing a mask because I thought, per the scientific guidance, that it was actually helping other people from getting sick, not necessarily myself. I thought we didn't protect ourselves, we protected other people. So I made it up in my mind that if I'm going to be able to protect somebody else, I do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometime, in order for us to have a functioning, thriving community, we have to be willing to even forego certain liberties, and not all, but certain liberties, just so that other people can thrive too. And that's what we do. And you may say, well, I don't want to give up any liberties. Let me tell you, you do, right? Because you pay taxes. That's one thing that you do in order to provide for other people. When you pay your taxes, guess what? That goes to the benefit of somebody else. Money that you've agreed to give to the government so that other people can benefit. Okay. So I think I just kind of want to make those comments. I know there's a whole bunch more to unpack here,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kind of wanted to comment on those few things.
So I'm with you, Amanda, with everything you're saying. So it goes back to, though, however, that when you begin to label athletes, when you label
Yes,
entertainers,
that part. I want to comment on that.
you're utilizing them for their leverage to do the bidding for the greater good, if you will. Stop using athletes for your bidding. Stop using Aaron Rodgers. Stop caring what any status of any athlete is. We shouldn't know if an athlete is vaccinated, and we shouldn't know their salary. We should
not know their salary.
No, that's none of our business.
I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement.
Why should we know? What's your salary? What do you make?
Wait. So now we need to know my salary, but we don't need to know the athlete's salary.
Why should I know anybody's salary? Why should I know? Hold on. See, but you see how you came back at me with that energy when I asked you about your salary? The thing is, these companies, athletes are paid by private companies, right? The NBA, the Clippers, is a private team. It's privately owned. Why should I know what Kawhi Leonard makes? I shouldn't need to know what any person makes. Anytime you count, you're counting somebody else's money, and now you're putting something in someone's head to go, oh, they make X amount of dollars, right? So you negotiate these deals, right? As a lawyer, you get whatever percentage you get as a lawyer.
Sure.
Hats off to you. You're a successful Black woman. Hats off to you. Wonderfully successful. I don't need to know what you make, ever. I don't need to know what my brother makes, and I don't need to know that Kobe Bryant is a billionaire. So the fact that we put people who are quote unquote celebrity and famous, and we give them this platform, you already said you don't care what Aaron Rodgers thinks. Then why does it matter what Aaron Rodgers makes? And why does it matter that Aaron Rodgers, what he thinks about the vaccination? Why is it a story?
Okay, here's what I will say. I like the whole conversation economically about what Aaron Rodgers is making financially. I don't care because that actually doesn't have anything to do with the vaccine topic. But I will say, yeah, we should probably know how much he makes. I'm just going to say that for the record, but that's a whole different conversation.
But can you answer that? Why? Can you answer that question? Why should we know that?
No, because I think we're derailing the conversation.
No, it's not. It's really on topic.
No, let's talk about the topic.
It's on topic.
Let's talk about the topic then. The topic is, should we care about Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status? My answer is no, we shouldn't. We do not
Right.
need to care about that. So that's my
Right.
answer. I also don't think that we need to be talking about his, like, if this were a topic of like, should there be transparency on salary? I would say hell yeah, because women need to know what men are making and people of color need to know what white people are making so that they can go to the negotiating table and have a higher leverage in their pocket. And let me just say for the record, I know I am a negotiating attorney, but I also negotiated a higher salary for myself because my white counterpart had a higher salary than me, and he and I talked about it. And so I was like, I'm going to take your number to the table and tell them no, they have to pay me that amount. So I'm just going to say that part. But that's a whole different conversation than what we need to know about his vaccine status. I agree with you wholeheartedly that we do not need to know. It doesn't matter because it's less about Aaron Rodgers as a person and a public figure than it is about the public safety and the health hazard that is among us right now.
All right. This is good. This is good. This is good. I'm going to reset the room, and I tell you, I love it. I love it. I love it. This is. Thank you, Amanda, for making sure that we stay on topic. I want to ask this question because we have so many different things that are out there now. And I will not use the term anti-vaxxer because you're right. So thank you for correcting me.
Could I say about that too, Jonathan? I totally forgot. I was trying to go to that point and I couldn't get it out. Yes, there is a nuance that we need to understand. And this goes back to the critical thinking that I was mentioning before. Simply because somebody does not want to get vaccinated for COVID-19 does not inherently make them a anti-vaxxer. I just want to be clear about that. And just because there's a group of people that are just afraid of being vaccinated. And those are the people that need more information and to be encouraged to understand the importance of being vaccinated. They're not just against it because of being against it for against its sake. They're just afraid, right? So I don't want to call people that don't get vaccinated inherently anti-vaxxers. There's a time and a place for a person that literally like creates a foot stomp, like a platform on all vaccinations. Those are people that do exist, but they're not one and the same. I just kind of want to make that clear.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I appreciate you saying that, Jason. I appreciate you saying that, Amanda, because that really is clear. And I will correct my terminology from that because we do call people stuff that honestly doesn't fit that label. So we have to listen here. Those watching, you got to stop doing that. I'm going to shift it a little bit to politics. Again, this is a provocative topic. So I love the dialogue. Let me just also say this too. In this country, and I think I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. In this country, this is the type of dialogue that we were built on. This is how we are able to express our opinions and be able to still move forward in working together. This is good, healthy discussion. And remember what this title is. It's about the mindset of the refusal. How do we understand people's mindsets when it comes to how they're making decisions? That leads to my next topic. We just had election day. Election 2021 was just November 2nd, right? Tuesday, November 2nd. And what we saw was the Republican candidates who pushed certain platforms, many of them won or just narrowly lost. And that really is an interesting scenario for what we could see for next year. And I want to talk again about the mindset of where people are at, because I understand that people, they are so heightened about this particular topic. So I want to hear you all. How is it that the Republican candidates who ran on the platform against vaccine mandates performed so well? And why did you think that happened? I'm going to start with you, Cody. And is there a contradiction here? The Republican push for children to be in school and in school buildings, but argue against vaccine mandates. So it's a two-pronged question. So whichever one you want to deal with first, I'm cool with that. I try not to ask too many questions at the same time, but I think that this is one time where it works like that.
I think Tuesday's turnout was a casting. I think it was a direct response to the lack of fulfillment from the Biden administration. So you take Virginia, you take the election of Glenn Youngkin, right? Who was not supported in the primary by the former president from his own party, but then ends up winning and beats Terry. All the major Democratic leaders came out to support Terry. You had Joe, you had President Obama, and yet he lost by 2%, a little over 2%. So I think what it is stating, even in New Jersey, that was supposed to be a sweep blue. That was almost coughed up, right? So it's COVID vaccine, yes. But the real reason why they won, or the strategy behind that, was because they shifted it from the mandates. I think that's one thing with the mandate, especially when we're talking about going against the police order, things like that. We have our own internal problems with our own mayor and the Chicago PD and the Fraternal Order of Police kind of mandating that and kind of the friction it has caused. But because they drilled so heavily on CRT and they made CRT really the boogeyman issue, that's kind of what created this wedge. And that's what we're seeing. I hate to say this. What happened in 2020 is just continuing, right? Like, I think there was a misinformation that when Joe would get in, we would reset as a country. We'd get back to loving each other and, all would go away. And the reality is, we're too far down the rabbit hole. And because, really nothing significantly from a legislative perspective has been passed. The Build Back Better program can't even come up with something that's solid within the own party. You've compromised on it now 3 times, going from 3.6 trillion, 2.5, now you're at 1.9, and that's before it even gets out of party, and now you have to negotiate it between both sides. So if you're compromising within a compromise, it's going to be totally destroyed by the time it even comes to the table. I think what's happening is that the Republicans are trying to focus on, I won't say table issues, but I will say they're trying to take up, and I hate that terminology, but the Republicans are basically playing the strategy. If you want to keep America moving and keep America, whatever that means, this is the path. If you go left, if you go blue, you'll have to read books on Toni Morrison starting in kindergarten, which is totally fine. I think it's brilliant offer, but it's really, and we don't want to deal with that, but that's how they're pivoting. So I think the COVID-19 vaccination is just like the sprinkles on top of the Sunday cone. And it's sad, but yet it's expected. You got Kirsten Sinema, you have the man in West Virginia, Manchin, and they're playing basically the party hostage. And when you can't get anything done, the voters vote. They'll give you, look, when you're a president, they say you got 100 days to do something. In 100 days, think about what he did. I mean, a lot of it was more of people putting people in position and, representation and things of that nature, but you can't point to anything legislatively, big, right? Even the stimulus check that others received was already allocated up under Trump. That was going to come up anyway. So a lot of the kind of snowball effect, just kind of occurred. So I think what the Democratic Party has to do, first of all, and I think Attorney Perkins is going to bring this up, the 2-party system doesn't work. There's too much diversity in the United States to put everything in a blue or a red box. And, there's just too much, there's centrists, a centrist Democrat is not a left. A centrist Democrat basically is a Republican 15 years ago, so there's too much variance to try to make this thing work with these 2 major parties. And we're going to have to reform the way we think about policy. We're going to have to reform the way we go about political strategy. And if America does not take these issues seriously, from climate change to every single issue you could think of, and really stop playing around, almost say something else, really stop playing around, we're derailing. And there's no doubt about it, right? And that's the message. So I think with the Republicans, they're going to go with that hawk strategy and just say, hey, look, you want to make money, you don't want, you want to keep doing what you do. But for us, the Dems are going to focus more on identity-based issues. And the problem is it's a lot broader and a lot deeper than all of that. And we need real solutions with real people.
Okay. Who's up next?
I have a clarifying question. What is CRT?
So critical race theory, right? So that's what they're just kind of hammering. I first of all, I don't think it's anything but an exploratory conversation about the origins and the continuance of American society. I don't have a problem with it because it doesn't make me hate myself or hate others. It doesn't make me do anything but analyze the truth. And that's a deeper conversation. Do people want to deal with the truth? Do you want to deal with the perplexity of ethnicity and race in this country? Do you want to deal with the realities of our heroes and our leaders, right? Everybody, human nature in and of itself is complex. I don't have a problem with it. But because others like Mark Ruffalo, who basically coined this phrase, I know it's taught in law school, but basically he took it and said, this is what the liberals are trying to do. And basically he created this as the issue that the Republicans can rally around. Now you have, schools who have never taught CRT, who do not teach it K through 12, that are trying to make sure and mandate that this is not taught. They're having a revisionist history upon American slavery, and it's sad because at what point do we say this is becoming ridiculous?
Got it. I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack there. I forgot what the question was, Jonathan. To be honest.
Right.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot.
But I think the question was, do we believe in mandates? And what was the other part?
Well, I brought up the fact of how
the political races
that they were supporting. They were against vaccine mandates. But in particular, I brought up is it a contradiction that they're supporting vaccine mandates, but they're pushing for children to be in school buildings?
Okay, yeah, I swear you can take any period in American history, and I feel like the dialogue will be the same. Republicans are pushing for this, and Democrats are pushing for that. It's the same thing.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of inconsistency and hypocrisy and bastardization that's going on here. And what do I mean by that? Consistency, like the inconsistency that goes on. No, we don't want vaccine mandates, but yes, we do want mandates on women's bodies. Like, stop. I'm over it. I'm over it. No, we don't want we don't want government involved in our affairs, but at the same time, you legislate like crazy to make sure that there are corporate bailouts and bank bailouts. Like, give me a break. You're being a hypocrite. And then the bastardization. We take something like critical race theory that, Cody brings up, which I actually studied in college in my psychology classes. And I also studied in law school, had nothing to do about shame, nothing to do about hating white people. It had everything to do with the components and the structures of slavery and how they have affected the structures and systems that we have in place today, including our laws. Okay. That is what I mean by bastardization of things. It is a literally critical race theory, critical thinking component and discussion that we have taken and created some like tokenist term so that people hear that and now they just start getting like triggered. Why? Do you know what critical race theory is? Have you really gone and read it and researched it thoroughly? Probably not. But we take these terms, we bastardize them, we pervert them, we spit them back out to the public and frame them in a certain way that people now get triggered. It frustrates me. It makes me so annoyed because I'm like, again, where is the evidentiary support? Where are you getting your information? And Einstein said two things are very, very, very vast in the world. One is the universe and two is stupidity. They just go and go and go. And I think that not Republicans, not just Republicans, but I will say politicians prey on people that are not aware of what's going on. And it frustrates me because if you're a critical thinker, regardless if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever, you're basing your decision on things that you've learned about. I don't have a problem. I've said this before. I have no problem with Republicans. I have no problem with Democrats. I think Cody is 100% right. This two-party system does not work because this is what happens. We start compromising. I hear something in the background.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. We start compromising. What ends up happening in this two-party system is that people in between get lost. Issues of race get lost. Issues of women and maternity issues get lost. Poverty gets lost. Child hunger gets lost. Why? Because we make so many concessions that because we want to reach out for the conservative Democrat and we want to reach out for the liberal Republican and somehow make this middle of the line decision. And when that happens, things get watered down and this country continues to suffer in the middle. So the two-party system doesn't work. I completely agree with you, Cody. I think, we need to think a little bit more critically about the conversations that we have. Like critical race theory should not be a triggering issue. And the only reason that we don't want to talk about racism in this country and we don't want to talk about slavery in this country is because it will upend the bias and it will upend white superiority in this country as well, which is a thing that we just don't like to talk about. I will go on the record for saying this too, that we happen to be one of the only countries in the world that haven't dealt with its race issue. And that is why we can never make the progress that we need to make. Okay. And one other thing, I wanted to say this, and I'm going to take this opportunity to say this. And some people I may blow some wigs with saying this statement.
Okay.
I'm perfectly okay with it. Okay. Right. So bear with me. You're going to get a lot of emails and I may too. I really need us collectively to stop calling people racist. I need us to use the right terminology here because systems and structures are racist. Mm-hmm. People can be bigoted. Okay. And this is why I want to make that distinction, because when we call people racist, it is so easy to dismiss it, shut down the whole conversation about structures and systems that do disservices to people of color. You can call somebody racist and they'll go, I'm not racist, moving on. So I don't have any responsibility for the systems that are in place that are abridging the success of people of color. But if you call someone bigoted, you're talking about their individual behavior. And that is something they have to grapple with. The system is something all white people have to grapple with. Okay. So I just kind of want us to understand that nuance between what is racist and how America has to deal with its racist past and its racist present, and what is bigoted behavior.
Okay.
That's it.
Great responses from both of you. I'll just chime in a little bit here. I believe, honestly, I'm with you with the two-party system. I've been on that for a while. The idea of what's actually happening, the toothpaste is so far out the tube, is the fact that America is now one big movie production. I live in Hollywood, so I see everything as characters. Everything is either a hero or a villain. So no matter what side you're on, right? So let's take the CRT. Of course, sitting from our seat, we're like, ain't nothing wrong with studying CRT because we already know what it is. But sitting from that seat, the seat of who we know in our eyes as a villain, they'll go, no, we can't study that, because they're going to be looking at us as the villain. So it's always like, there's always this two-sided thing of a story or a narrative that's happening. So even the narrative of Democrats, Republicans, like if you watch CNN and MSNBC long enough, you'll get a Democrat perspective. If you watch Fox News long enough, you'll get this Republican perspective. And it's all narrative based. It's all let me feed whatever narrative that I need to get enough votes for me to stay in whatever frame of power I'm in. Let me tag along. Let me get all the white senators that are Democrats, and let them put on dashikis. When one of our great leaders die, and let's have all the great white leaders put on dashikis and take a knee, because this is going to show Black people we're with them. It's all story narrative based. So when we have things that are trivial, right, that become news, I begin to ask, like, well, what really is this? What's really the purpose of this? So a lot of these things, these races, you can kind of see a lot down the line, like what's going to happen. Okay, in 4 years, this is what's going to happen, and then another 4 years, this is going to be the move. It's almost like this tide that we don't get off of, and then you get things in there that try to disrupt the tide. And once the tide is disrupted, it's like, well, let's think about what happens if we start discussing this. Then there's a different level of allocation. Just even think about this, what Robinhood, the app Robinhood has done in the past year and a half. Robinhood has disrupted what it means to control your own financial future in the stock market and crypto. No matter what. So Robinhood doesn't know your color. It doesn't know your race. So you got all kinds of people who would never know how to invest becoming crypto millionaires or what have you. So that was a disruption. So when GameStop stock shot up in January to this insane amount, and you had these regular average Joes cashing out on that, who got upset? The people on Wall Street. Well, why is that? Well, they're not supposed to be able to do that. So it's this whole narrative base that's quite old, it's quite frustrating. You have individuals like us who are actually openly discussing things in a dialogue. You have a lawyer here, you have a doctor here, you have a pastor here, you have a person in media here, like 4 people who are in different quadrants of life that are openly discussing things, having whatever dissertation, agreement, a disagreement, but we can come to a conclusion. This is actually the new America, right? So this actually this makes me excited, but there's still a level of frustration that does come, because we're like, okay, how do we get to the next level? As far as the mandates, right? When I look at the so-called whatever Republican Party or whatever they feel about mandates, all of them have vaccines. All of them are vaccinated. So how they look at it as, well, that doesn't apply to me. We already know, just go get vaccinated. We're not going to make that an important thing to make people do it. But they all got it. They all got their shots. So that's how they think. They're not thinking like, well, we don't want to get it. They're telling people we ain't going to make you get it. So when it comes to getting the kids back in school, they know the functionality of this country is, well, mom and dad got to go to work. They can't work if the kids are at home on Zoom school all day. That's how they're thinking. It's a very baseline thought. And so when it comes to how they're trying to appropriate this, to me, it's a very basic. They're not trying to think in anything complex. It's not like you said, they're not complex people. They're not the smartest people in the room. They're just the ones making decisions.
And
Can I have a moment to just kind of address someone said in the comments? So I just kind of want to clarify something. So I am not saying that I don't believe that there are not racial bigots in the world, because there are. What I am talking about is, when I say racist, I am talking about systems and constructs that are designed specifically to oppress and abuse and to discriminate against people of color and other people that that identify along racial lines. I want us to understand the nuance between a structure and what we have to do collectively as people to destroy those structures and to destroy that mindset and the individual people that may perpetrate certain actions. So racist structures and racial bigots. I want to create that nuance.
That's good. That's good. You know, Gloria Miller. I'm really looking at her comments. This is interesting. What she stated, and it's amazing how time has gone past. I mean, it's just this is awesome. But Gloria, she made a quote here, and it's very enlightening from Robert Burrows. She says the elite group currently being conducted is taking place under cover of a non-existent virus that has been labeled as SARS-CoV-2. That's interesting that statement is out there. And then she also referenced.
Can you put that up one more time? I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you put that up one more time?
Yeah, it says the elite group currently being conducted is taking place. Cool. I'm sorry. Why did I say group? Cool. Thank you. Currently being conducted is taking place under cover of a non-existent virus that has been labeled SARS-CoV-2. If you know what a coup is, you know a coup is people who have gathered together to take over power. I will say this, and I'm getting to wrap up here. All of you all have said some really strong points, and the thread that really syncs them all together is that we have got to learn to think critically. And we have got to stop allowing people to use terms that scare us. I've been so quiet because I'm just literally looking at how these broadcasts over the last 3 weeks have literally fed on top of each other. If you go back and look at the broadcasts just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the role of social media in the education of our society. And one of the things that really drove a point home, and I hadn't really thought about this, is just how fear drives profits. I mean, that's just wow. And then I look at, we were talking about the vaccine last week, and now with the vaccine mandates this week, and we're looking at how when people do not think critically, they become very fearful and scared. We're already scared and anxious. We're already at a heightened level. And we start.
I have a question. I have a question for you, for you, Jonathan, anyone, and because we've used this term quite a bit today, critical thinking. How are we defining that? Because one person's thought of what critical thinking is could be like, you could say something and go, well, we have to be more critically thinking than that. And one person could say, well, I am thinking critically.
Okay.
How are we actually defining critical thinking?
It's good.
Yeah, I know I've been using that term a whole lot. So maybe I'll go ahead and start about what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is before I subscribe to a certain belief, I have to go read. And then I have to go read what the opposition says to that too. And then I have to sit with what makes sense based upon what I know inherently, and also what I appreciate either about science or about law or about medicine or whatever else that applies to that situation. So I go through a rigorous thought process before I accept something as true. Even before I accept my doctor from saying, you need to take this particular medicine, I still have to go and think about it for myself. And I have to go test that. Like I said, I go through an entire process before I accept something that's true. And my opinion my conclusion at the end may still differ from yours, but I know that I've done my due diligence before I come and start just spouting anything. So that's what I mean by critical thinking. Is there a rigorous process you go through to test the things that you are saying you believe? That's my definition.
It's good.
Okay.
No, I agree with Amanda on that. I think that I forgot which Enlightenment thinker said it, but I think he said that the beginning of truth first starts with doubt.
Yes.
I think that whatever is being presented in front of you or presented to you, you do have to go through a process of interpretation. And I think it's quite natural and it's quite healthy. And I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's a responsible thing. And I don't think any adult can afford to take anything at face value unless that adult was born of the Virgin Mary. And if you're not, then everything can be within question. And even then, it's still a matter of faith, right? So, I think that, going forward, and I think the best course for American or Americans as a whole is to really question why. On every single issue, before we start subscribing to this, subscribing to that, jumping to this, taking the time to really answer why and to really piece it through. And even if you never can come to a concrete example or concrete definition that adds up, at least having the audacity to say, because this is what I choose and I've chosen it for me. And I don't expect you to necessarily follow that path, right? And I think that's the conversation we have to have. It's about balance. And right now, extremism on either side is dangerous.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll just add is that it's important to get your source from a credible or let it be credible. Now, how do you judge whether something is credible? You have to look at its pattern, and you have to look at what it has been able to offer as proof of it can stand on its own. In science, there are so many things that we judge in order for something to be held as integral and with credence and with credibility. Now, does some of that stuff has falters and failures in it? Absolutely. But let's say, for instance, for information's sake, the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, those are credible resources that have been proven over and over again. So I'm seeing some of the stuff that Gloria Miller, I started out with it, but I need to challenge you, Gloria Miller, because some of the stuff that you're putting out, I'm concerned about where you're getting your facts. In particular, you put out something about the medication dialomide, which was back in the 1950s and 60s. Again, social media will tell you that this was what the FDA approved. The FDA did not approve that particular medication for pregnant women. All right. Regardless of what you may read on social media. It's unfortunate that I deal with this on an everyday basis. And it really goes to the question I asked earlier, and I will end with this, is that there are certain systems that are put in place that are meant to destroy certain people. All right. You have to understand that. There are vaccine mandates that are, yes, that have been coming down the pipeline for so many different years to help people to make sure that they can survive when they become ill. But then there are people who understand that if they can make or just allow people to be so fearful to where they do not want to take that vaccine, even though it could help them, they would rather put that information out there so that it will literally scare them to where they will not get the helpful assistance or the helpful medication that they need. It's been proven over and over again. And that's what scares me. That's where I go back. And that's why all this really does relate, because it comes back to getting your information from credible sources and knowing, once you read those credible sources, how to be able to critically think. Amanda Cody just described that. We as a society have got to do more of that. And that's what's even allowed for me to host this type of platform and not get in so much my feelings and things like that today, because I recognize that so much of this stuff was driven by things that people, that they did not believe. Thank you, Gloria. Yes, I do realize that you did not say it was FDA approved. Yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. You were just mentioning earlier that it was something that in your comment you mentioned about how it was utilized in a particular, I missed that comment now, and how it had killed so many different people. One of the things you also have to understand is that our system of approval for medications is so different from other countries. Um, it's not the same. That's why we don't have even AstraZeneca's vaccine here in the United States. You do realize there's more than 3 vaccines out there that people are taking. All right. There's AstraZeneca. There's a few others. I can't even think of the names. It's probably about at least 4 or 5 others that are out there right now. Russia has their own. Asia, in particular, certain countries in Asia, Latin America, even Brazil, they have their own. It's amazing. So we have to understand that just because we live in this country, that we're not privileged, to be the only ones who know how to be able to manage disease or even offer up solutions to how to move forward. So, without me getting too far off course there, we really have to, again, I'll say this, know our sources and know how to judge those sources and then critically think. This is awesome. This is awesome. Oh, I knew I was going to get some comments. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I don't, and hopefully from this set today, you've seen how people have differed in their opinions and yet be able to work through and be able to yet respect what each other believes. And in conclusion, guess what? We all are doing what is best for our community. And I really do appreciate that. I'm going to let you all have some last words with this discussion. Because it's hot, it's provocative, isn't it? And I love it. I started out with Amanda first, so I'm probably going to end with her, and I started with Jason last. So if you don't mind, Jason, go first and just give some parting words, and then at the end, also let the people know where they can reach out to you. This is my brother, and he has done well today. I appreciate you.
Thank you once again for just allowing this platform. One thing that I'm very passionate about as a pastor, as a leader, as a person who counsels people. One thing I have seen as it pertains to this particular issue is the level of how it begins to deteriorate at people's character at times by so that's why I was very big about calling people anti-vaxxers. So right now it's becoming a label on a person's character. If they don't get vaccinated, it's making a character assertion on a person. And as a pastor, I'm very sensitive to people, to all people, period. So what I would admonish people before, even before we leave, that a character of a person is the broadness of who they are, of what they've done and where they've been, not their particular decision of what they make in this realm. So I'm really grateful for all of these comments that we had today, the dialogue, and also there was a comment on Facebook from Jeremiah Frazier,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he's taking the vaccine. He said he's not comfortable with his children taking it yet. I know that's another big thing. I have 2 children. That is another huge hurdle to get over. And I think when it comes to one of the questions that I have heard people ask about this subject is, what is the actual goal? What's the number that we're looking to get to? What are we trying to see? And it seems as if the goalpost keeps moving from week to week. Things keep, well, if we can get to this number, if we can get to that number, and we look at other countries that may be at about 90%, right? And they're still having breakthrough infections and they're having hospitalizations. So we're trying to understand what's the goal, what's the breakthrough. And, just as a person who's always willing to dialogue, I love these conversations, and I want to see our world healed. That's my,
Absolutely.
like, I want to see our world heal. So those would be my
Absolutely.
last comments.
Jeremiah, the next time we have a show is going to be on children. And so I already got it lined up, got a pediatrician. So don't worry. We got you. We got you covered, my friend. All right, Cody, I know you got to go. Come on. Pouting words, where can we find you?
I appreciate it, man. Closing thoughts, agree with Pastor Jay. I want to see our world heal. If I was in church, I would say Jesus finds himself in the Garden of Gethsemane having a conversation with himself unto the Father, and then says, if it be thy will, allow this cup to pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. And what we have to derive from all that is that even God disagreed within himself. And you can debate that, but we as human beings cannot allow just rhetoric, having a difference of opinion to destroy the very fabric of this country and the very fabric of our community. We have to learn from our differences and learn how to bring about a unified approach that's going to provide healing and truth and transparency. So I want everyone to just be blessed. I want this country to do better, and I believe in this country, and I believe in all of us here, and it's been an honor to share a platform with Attorney Perkins again, my childhood friend and the best lawyer in the world, and that's why I don't argue with her, because I'll always lose. Pastor Jay, has been amazing to meet you, sir, and the good doctor. You know I'm always love being on your show. You're a friend of mine, and I can't wait to have you back. You can reach me Mondays, YouTube, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, CV space K, Cody Vernon Kelly, or hit me up at Cody Kelly or Vernon Kelly, my Facebook thing. It's going to be interesting. This Monday's episode is the money bag episode. I got my first millionaire on here sharing the secrets of how to do it. If you want that bag life, tune in to CV Space K.
I mean, you didn't have me for that show too? My God, you know.
I could add you on, man. Hey, that's how we gonna
do it. I mean, look, you're amongst millionaires right here. All right.
I don't know what to do with that, to follow up with what Cody. He sounds like a walking commercial. I don't even know what to do with that. Okay. He's like, follow me, blah, 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 blah. I love it. I need you to be my hype man, Cody. I need you to come onto my platforms. Okay. Because I don't have it. So I too, I echo everything that Pastor Jay has said, and Cody as well, in terms of wanting to see progress in our community and wanting to see the best done for our people, all of our people. I want to, give warm, loving embraces to my grandmother. I want to be able to sit down and, have another margarita with my girlfriends and just, all of that. I want us to get to a place where we're safer and we're healthier and we're wiser after this. So, my parting words are, it's super important to think about the information that you're receiving, have trusted advisors in your life to give you insight, and still question that and not question it for question's sake, but to ask probing questions about the information you're getting, and so I echo those things. I don't know what more to say about that, but to, take some time and be careful about the information you're receiving, and do your very best to keep yourselves healthy and to keep your families healthy, and to look out for one another. Those are the important things that I want to leave you with. In terms of where you can find me, I'm going to try to do my hype. I'm going to try to do my hype thing like Cody. You can find me on LinkedIn is pretty much where I am. I'm like, LinkedIn is my Instagram. I have it popping on LinkedIn. Okay. I have posts all the time. And pretty much my expertise is contract negotiations and helping my clients negotiate for themselves. So be it, employment and negotiations, business negotiations, whatever it may be, that's my expertise, my area of domain, and I love it. So if you are interested in learning more about that, you can find me on LinkedIn using my name. You can also find my website, stoutagylaw.com. But I have a special treat because this Tuesday coming, I am going to be on Clubhouse. I'm fancy. I'm going to be on Clubhouse giving a talk on securing the bag, the things that we wish our clients knew about negotiating so that you can increase your leverage and understand you do have leverage. You do have value and you need to know that. And I'm going to teach you that on Clubhouse this coming Tuesday. So,
Man,
you better preach up in here.
yes, exactly. I preach in my own ways, but I'm so passionate about it. Listen, you should see me. I do not play games when it comes to my clients and letting them know we go hard.
Absolutely. And we go hard here on Ask the Doctors. You see the type of guests. And I appreciate when I was even conversing with Amanda prior to, she said, I love this particular platform because the people who come on here, they come prepared, they come well informed, and they're ready to dialogue. And so we're going to continue that dialogue. I am so appreciative of you all out there and how you continue to maintain. I didn't get a chance to reset the room. I mean, it's just because the dialogue was just so heavy, and I figured it would be. But again, I thank everyone who has been out there. If I didn't call your name this week, I will do it the next time. But I also want to thank my company, Hope Health Systems, which continues to sponsor this particular broadcast. And then I also just want to thank again our experts, our guests, and I want to thank every person who is watching the replay. All right, because again, we have so many people who watch, and I appreciate you in doing that. There's one more piece of news, and I want to just solicit your prayers, solicit your prayers for my family. I was blessed that my brother is with me today, which made things a lot more easier for me to do my duties today. It was just so happened that really God let me know that I need to get my brother on. It wasn't just by chance that Jason was going to be on. So I'm glad he's here. We suffered another death within my family within 4 weeks. 2 deaths in 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks. October 8th, my uncle died, who was the oldest of 9 children, Robert Jr. And then yesterday, on November the 4th, my aunt Sandra also succumbed to her illness. And so just keep us in prayer. I did want to acknowledge both of them. I want to acknowledge my family. And for those who are even watching, who know my family, please keep us in prayer. I'm not ashamed of the power of prayer. I know that prayer works. Prayer is not just something that is a strategy. Prayer is a weapon. All right. And so I understand that when you are going through grief, you need strength, especially when you have lost so many people in such a close period of time. That's what's really getting me. And I'm thankful that my family, that my brother is here, and I'll be with my family over the next couple of days. And just know that I appreciate the comments that I see that are coming through. So yes, Sandra Shepard, a great woman, and so she's a thinker, she's an educator. She's an educator, Amanda. She loved, yeah, she loved children and special educator. Isn't that right, Jason? Yeah, she was special school educator. Yeah. Did you want to say something, Jason? And
Oh,
remembrance before we go?
Yeah, just thank you everyone who's commenting here on Facebook. Thank you all for your prayers. And this has just been it's been a season of extremes. And I think as you live, you go through these extreme seasons. Some of us, I think it's in the book of Ecclesiastics, and everything there is a season, a time to be born, a time to die, time to laugh, a time to weep. And it just seems like over these past couple of years that our time of weeping has lasted a little longer. But I'm encouraged that the word does say, weeping it may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So even though we are grieving, we're mourning, we know that the joy can be found on the other side of mourning. So thank you all for your prayers and just keeping us uplifted. And we just keep moving and we keep living, we keep pressing, we keep thriving.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ask the doctors. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you again. For those who are still here, I guess Cody had to run. He had another engagement. Hold on tight, and we're going to go ahead and end. Be safe this weekend, and I'll see you at the next go around.